Hello, swole heads. Guys, it's going crazier by the minute, it seems. Right now, we're in a situation where the tensions to go to war with Iran are going up. Still a lot of calls, and Jake Sullivan, our national security spokesman for the administration, is not ruling out a war with Iran or attack on Iran. Furthermore, there is a lot of pressure at the southern border. Turns out the largest growing group of illegal immigrants coming across the border are Chinese. Now, what could possibly go wrong with that? Oh, nothing, right? Oh, yeah. What does that mean for us? And furthermore, in the rest of the world, the Houthis they're claiming, as usual, as you expect, that they're going to strike back even more, even though they've just been pummeled again, and you get the daily almost, tit for tat between them and American and UK forces. And we've got many other things cooking right now, including, this is interesting, a poll of the Filipino people, claiming that 70% of them want military action against China in the South China Sea for blockading and inhibiting what they want to do in their own, what should be their exclusive economic zone, which China is trying to seize. The Filipinos are not at all happy. Of course, we're in bed with a treaty with the Philippines, so maybe that's what gives them the bravado. But, there's a whole lot cooking, guys, just a whole lot cooking. We're going to have some discussions, though, toward the end about just some open discussions about this whole mess, like how do we get into this, why are we there, and where can this go? So buckle up for all that. Of course, we will do the regular weather toward the end and that kind of stuff. But if you don't watch that stuff, catch the news here at first. So I'm going to go through a news review, and there's going to be news, views, and weather, and just general chat. The first thing I'm going to do is open up my chat room because we are live, and these videos get demonetized, so these are supported mainly by my people in the chat room who tend to be pretty generous. So that is what we're living on here, guys. Oh, yeah, and we got a new Discord channel. I'm sure some of my mods will post links to it in here. And let's see how many we got in the house so far. Only 32. Oh, well. It is late, but not as late as I went live the last couple times. And please subscribe to my channel, bang the notification bell, and click all, and share my videos, because like I just did, I broke the news on YouTube as far as all the channels I monitor about us striking, doing a strike back about the hostilities that America went after the proxy forces in Iran, from Iran, the Iranian proxy forces in Syria and in Iraq. On other channels, when they announced that, so I beat Canadian Prepper by 36 minutes. But the other channels that reported got like way more views than they normally get. I got less views than I normally get for a breaking story like that. It's I got to be shadow banned, guys. So help me out, share my stuff, get it out there, and let's get this stuff pumping. All right, on to the news. So bing, bing, bing. Here we're going to do a share screen, and boom. Some are calling to bomb Iran. And that's the big question, and it's still a very big question at the moment. And like I said, Jake Sullivan has not ruled it out. So this stands a lot of prospects for escalating. And this isn't just if we actually go after the regime in Iran, if we try to decapitate it, if we hit them hard enough, there is a really good chance that they would, at that point, activate their sleeper cells here in America. And that would be catastrophic. Now, there's some very few of you who heard me speak Saturday at the library in Huntsville. I won't say here what I say there. If you want to hear me preaching it, you see me live in person, where there's nothing being broadcast over all these interwebs, at least nothing on these platforms. All right, my friends, let's go rocking on here. There's a lot of details in this article, but I'm going to move on. Anyway, as I said, Jake Sullivan is trying to rule out hitting targets inside Iran. Iran, of course, has really come back, and they have been really throwing it back at us. So and one of the things that he's told George Stephanopoulos, sounds like Snuffleupagus, right? He used to be a staffer for Bill Clinton. And then he went to the news. He said, I would not say from the perspective of Tehran that if they choose to respond directly to the United States, they would be met with swift and forceful response for us. And yeah, he went further in these discussions here. And he said that what you saw Friday night was just the first round. There will be additional response action taken by the administration against the IRGC. That is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, in case you didn't know. And these groups are backing. He said, and these groups are backing. So he's talking about some direct hit on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. That is the Iranian forces, not the proxy forces. Okay, and he distinguished that. He made it clear. He said, there will be additional response taken by the administration. Maybe that doesn't mean military. I don't know what he means by that. Maybe we'll send them a letter and say, stop it. I don't know. But there will be additional action taken by the administration against the IRGC and the groups. See, that's where he put the and the groups that they're backing. That's how you know that they're considering something potentially in Iran. But he did go out and flat say he wouldn't rule out striking Iran. But he said, and in terms of these attacks that we've suffered in recent months, he said has increased. I don't know what that looks like, a bad sentence. Aggressiveness of our responses to go more directly after the IRGC. And then he said, and now you saw what happened on Friday night, and I'm telling you that's not the end of it. There will be more. So you know, he goes on here saying that, and yeah, I'm not gonna read the entire article, but you know, quoting him is fair game. Anything that a government official says to be quoted is fair game. So there you go, guys. And he was directly asked about that, and he did say he wouldn't rule it out. Anyway, let's see. As you can see, that what's cooking here is they say that more military action, and Iran's warning the U.S. to stay away. Well, they've done more than that. That's kind of repeat a lot of the same stuff. I'm not going to read that article per se. Guys, if this hadn't got you in the mind of getting ready, if you don't understand what might happen with the sleeper cells here in America, how this could come home to visit us, how they might decide to use all this to declare martial law, but you might find a hard time getting resources, if nothing else, due to potential martial law. And I was planning to do a video on just the prospects of martial law. I just haven't had time to do it yet. I may do that on the Green Greg's channel. So that's one of those walk in the woods and walk and talk videos. Guys, but really, seriously, you need to go to prepwithgreg.com and consider getting stuff that's going to last you 25 years. Stuff that you can put in these buckets and stack them to the ceiling. These stack up. You don't need shelves to put them in. They stack nicely. They're good for bugging out. And the better thing about them is you can bury these. So when they come looking at your pantries, and when they evoke the NDAA and come looking for your food, it won't all be in the pantry. If Billy Bob down the road comes looking in your pantries, maybe it won't all be there. If you take appropriate preparedness and stash your stuff around in some other places, and this is good to do that with. And these buckets, which are sealed in pouches with sealed pouches within it, it's great. But you get 2,000 calories a day. And guys, this is it's 3 months supply of food. It's less than $200 a month. May sound high, but and if you can't afford that, in any event, still go buy your beans and rice. And if you can't afford anything, just buy yourself an extra can of beans or something. Whatever you can get, the stuff you normally use. Make sure you're stocked up on that. Make sure you got water purification items too. But you can click this My Patriot Supply link, and it will take you. Go to prepwithgreg.com first, because I won't get no credit if you go straight to My Patriot Supply. It helps me, and you won't pay any more, but it'll help me in my channel. If you go to prepwithgreg.com and then go to the store link, and there's plenty of other things there, including water purification and sanitation, air purification, and other kind of food choices and other prepping equipment. Some of it's just good for camping, if you like. Anyway, here's the question on a lot of people's minds. This is a question a lot of folks are asking right now. Why on earth did Biden, Sniffy Joe, give Iranian proxies so much time to prepare for retaliatory strikes? We said we're coming. We said we're launching. We said we're on our way. We gave them a lot of time before we did it. So what's our earnestness here? They all had time to squirrel away a lot of their stuff, to take their personnel out of harm's way. And still some people got hit. And of course, they're complaining about that on the other side, to include countries like Iraq. Iraq is, registering complaints about it. It's like, okay, Iraq, if you didn't want this to happen, you should have stopped these proxies from operating within your own country. So Iraq could have done something to keep this from happening in the first place. Syria, well, Syria is not in a place today because there's a big civil war in Syria, but Iraq could have done something. We have a huge embassy in Iraq, the former presidential palace of Saddam Hussein, which is now called the Green Zone. As you may know, it's a huge embassy complex. We've spent billions of dollars in that complex. But guys, quite frankly, the reason we give for being there in Syria, for being there in Iraq, is to stop ISIS. Well, I'm like to remind folks that ISIS is Sunni. The predominant government in Iraq is Shia. Iranians are Shia, and Iranians have a huge force complement. I would assume that if we withdrew, that those forces would go after ISIS in Iraq, and in Syria, Russia would probably mop them up. So why are we there to do it? Why are we putting our boys and girls in harm's way to do a mission that others could take care of, and it would be in their vested interest to do it? So why are we there doing that in the first place? By being there, we've made ourselves targets. I mean, it's like a never-ending mission creep. Why are we there? Because it's getting paid to. So we should have been there in the first place. We've had like Senator, Rand. We had Senator Paul. Yeah, Rand Paul. I always get mixed up thinking Ron Paul. We had his dad. Senator Rand Paul has been calling for us to take our forces there for some time, saying we have no legitimate reason to be there. And I've got to agree with that. I see no reason for us to have been there. We got plenty of other things to worry about. By being there, we've exposed ourselves. And now, if you keep, I will say this, somebody keeps punching you in the face, you can't, 170 times, do you just keep saying, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it? We waited until we got somebody hurt, which that was bound to happen by design. Yeah, I think you got on to something there, Wendy. I think you're on to something. Anyway, yeah, there's something really fishy out there in Antonio. A lot of stuff's fishy going on out there. So why are we there? If I'd like to see a little poll in the chat room here. If you think that we should have had all our forces there, put a 1 in the chat room. If you think we should have taken them out months ago, put a 2 in the chat room. I'd like to see what you guys think about this whole proposition of us having left all our forces there in harm's way to try to deal with an organization we pretty much dealt with originally, something that could, in my humble opinion, been dealt with by the forces on the ground there, the indigenous countries and the folks there already. I see no legitimate reason that we should have been there, other than maybe we wanted to be in harm's way. I don't know. It just don't make a lot of walking around sense. So let's move forward. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. It's like maybe we want this, and maybe that's an indication that things will escalate. What better for an administration that may not see any other way, or a big bureaucratic organization, a nest of bureaucratic organizations to stay in power, than have a situation arise that may put us into a martial law situation right before the elections. I don't know. Hope that's not the case. I'm not saying that is the case, but holy smoke, guys, a lot of fishy stuff going on. Never leave troops behind to be targets. Amen. Amen. And that's, whether intentional or not, that's the effect it's had. And now we're in a bigger heap of trouble. And now we're responding against the so-called countries that we're supposed to have been there to protect in the first place, seemingly. And they're not too happy about it. So we've not increased their happiness by having forces there to be targets. Jeez, I don't know. Just don't make a lot of walking around sense in my book. But what do I know? I'm just some poor dumb rocket scientist, I guess. So let's see. I'm just kind of glancing to chat room. I'll go through the chat room more diligently here when I get through the news. Just for the sake of the people watching in the morning, let's get through the news. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. That's their way of saying Abraham, by the way. Whoa, it scrolled on me. I didn't want to do that. I was trying to highlight this. Gosh, why is it doing that every time I do it? I hate these controls sometimes. Ibrahim, oh golly, Pete, that's all it's going to do. It won't let me do what I want to do here. Ibrahim Raisi, he issued a stern warning Friday against any possible attack by the United States in retaliation for the strike that took out 3 Americans in Jordan. He said, we have said many times that we will not be the initiator of any war, but if any country but if a country, a cruel force wants to bully the Islamic Republic of Iran, will respond firmly. Well, the response so far hasn't been against them. That may change if you read between the lines of what Jake was saying. Anyway, he says, he's just going. But one thing is that they did say that's not in this article. There's 2 spy ships out there in the Red Sea that or in the Gulf of Aden, they just aren't moving around. They've been there for years, right there supporting the Yemen forces. That all the intelligence sources, well, they believe they're spy ships. They're supposedly commercial cargo vessels, and Iran issued a direct warning not to hit those ships. They must know they're targets because the word's out. Everybody knows what they're there for. So I don't know. They may hit them. Anyway, we'll have to see what's coming on here, guys. Let's go on here. I don't want to read all that. Iraqi military protest U.S. retaliatory strikes against militias. That's what I'm talking about. The Iraqis protested it. And again, we shouldn't have been there in the first place. But if we are there, and these militias aren't part of your organization, which they deny they're getting control of these militias, but it's their country. Why didn't they police their own country to keep this from happening in the first place? You got to ask a lot of questions here. And if they didn't want to police their own country and they allowed, our forces there to be attacked, then what the heck are they protesting for? Could be all for optics for their own population who hates America, but who knows? But that's not a good sign, any way you want to slice it. And I understand privately the Iraqis actually asked Americans to stay there. Really? Publicly, they were saying get out, but privately saying, please stay. I don't know. That's just what the rumor mill has. But whatever the case is, I don't think we have any business there. Anyway, Iran warns the U.S. of escalation after the strikes. Oh, yeah. And the Iraqi government is incensed. So where's this going, guys? They said the attack. They said that attack will have no result other than escalation of tensions and instability in the region. This is from the Foreign Ministry of Iran spokesman Nasser Kanani, or however you say that. He issued this statement Saturday. He said it was a strategic mistake. Well, given all things. You got to wonder why there weren't responses before. Why they allow 160 some odd now up to 170 attacks on U.S. forces? We shouldn't have been there in the first place, but you can't just sit there and let somebody punch your nose continuously and not respond. but also when you announce that we're going to respond in kind ahead of time, that's also a sign of weakness. The last thing you want to be is weak. You don't want to be there in the first place to expose your rear end. But then again, we should never transmit signs of weakness, which seems to be something that our current administration excels at. Weakness, appeasement, send money over there. Yeah, you got to know, we were actually sending money to the Houthis too. Oh, yeah, because we were trying to get on their good side. We took them off the terrorist watch list, sent them money. How good did that work out? How well has that worked out? Oh, well, we should have been sending them money. We need money for other things. Jeez. Anyway, well, not to be left out, Israel carried out airstrikes deep into Syria, into Damascus again, which is the capital city of Syria. There's some prophecies about Damascus. I don't know about it being leveled one day. Now, Israel is still playing whack-a-mole in Gaza. By the fact that they're moving out against Hezbollah, they're still playing whack-a-mole against the Hamas in Gaza. They just taken a region that was a Hamas headquarters in southern Gaza, and lo and behold, the area they just practically flattened and pummeled the heck out of in northern Gaza, well, Hamas has resurfaced. Imagine that. Whack-a-mole. Anyway, it's not pretty over there. However you want to slice it. I'm not taking sides here, guys. However you want to slice it, it's not pretty at all. Uh-oh, y'all threatening each other? I suppose in a good way. All right. All right. Hello, Pagan Prepper. So, U.S. conducts airstrikes against deeply buried Houthi targets. So, we're trying to strike stuff deep down. So these are new airstrikes. Like I said, we struck back at them. These strikes target Houthi storage facilities. Now here we hit a really big storage facility, missile systems and air launchers and air defense systems. Similar to what we were hitting before. Radars. This and the third large-scale attack since the Houthis began attacking international shipping. We've hit them many other times, but this is considered a large-scale attack. I don't know what their distinguishing criteria is for what's large scale and what's not. But Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said these strikes are intended to further disrupt and degrade the capabilities of the Iranian-backed Houthi militia to conduct their reckless and destabilizing attacks against U.S. and international vessels lawfully transiting the Red Sea. Well, basically, the Red Sea transit has been shut down, at least for Europeans. For Israel, Rodney, salute. Thank you for the super chat. Yay, amen. Thank you. And I'll have a swig of coffee right now in honor of that. There we go. Alrighty, guys. Hey, I don't take my sleep lying down. I'm taking a cup of coffee. Taking a cup. That's got to be a t-shirt one day. One of these days, I'll launch some merch. I suppose some of you guys have posted the new Discord channel we got going. All right. So it's U.S. and U.K. launched new wave of strikes. Yeah, like I said, it's just another article saying the same thing in another way. U.S. forces destroy an anti-ship cruise missile in Yemen. Well, yeah, what do you expect? Of course we did. But there's lots more to come because Iran's got lots of them. They're just shipping do you stop Iran from shipping that stuff? It'll just keep coming. Iran-backed militia in Iraq vows to continue attacks on U.S. forces as White House mulls military action. Of course they will. These guys, like the Houthis, they're not going to stop. They only stop when there's either nothing for them to shoot at or they got nothing to shoot or nobody to do it. These are guerrilla forces. Guerrilla forces basically will disappear into the woodwork. They fight asymmetrically. You go to wipe them, especially if you tell them you're coming. Well, they're going to disappear into the woods or the scrub brushes in the desert. And then once you're done, they pop back up. And they'll just keep doing that. How do you stop that? How do you stop that? It would take troops, it would take boots on the ground in a major offensive to stop something like that. Like when we went into Iraq the second time, when we just went all the way in and took it all and kept it. but you can't hold it forever. And when you back off, all that stuff just starts flaming up again, because it's, these people are tribal, and they're, whether you agree or not, they're very religious, and the way that they think is that they think this is something they have to do, and they will take it to the 9th degree. So it is not a pretty situation any way you slice it over there. In any event, I mean, do we really want to just go in and occupy the Mideast? No. What purpose would it serve us anyway? We wind up like in Afghanistan. Over time, it don't work. Then if you fly a flag they don't like, it upsets them culturally. Expect all heck to break loose. So when a bunch of guys can storm your base and run you out, like happened in Afghanistan, yeah. And now they've seen that. They've seen how we'll tuck tail and run. So what are we accomplishing over there? What are we managing to accomplish, guys? Other than stirring the pot and making more and more people hate, we're definitely stirring up the hatred. And I've already explained in other videos how hatred will undo our whole world. Yeah, more of that. They're still so what it is, both the militias in Iraq and the Houthis, of course, are vowing to respond. Of course they will. They will keep doing it. Now, if you could cut off their supplies, maybe the Houthis wouldn't have anything to throw at you. But look at this, guys. China launched 20 satellites on separate island and sea rocket launches. 20, like all at once. What are they getting ready for? Why do they suddenly want to put 20 satellites up? And remember that article I showed you guys, how they believe they could take out our entire Navy worldwide in 30 minutes by using satellites to disrupt the radar, so our ships wouldn't be able to actually spot the incoming warheads until they were about 30 minutes out, and then they would just saturation attack them. Remember how I mentioned that they could accomplish those kind of launches anywhere in the world from ships? Nah, that wouldn't happen. Now, this is a space launch operation. This is a major ship just dedicated to that. But if you want to do missile launches, attacking, you can do that from cargo ships. China don't have no cargo ships, do they? Yeah, they got them all over the world. They got the most. So yeah, they could definitely make a big response with their cargo ships. What would they accomplish? So that's Canada. So here we are. This is a poll I was mentioning to you guys. More than 70% of the adults in the Philippines think their government should prioritize military action in order to protect their country's rights in the South China Sea, where a standoff with China stands near a crisis point. You think it might not flare up over there? I mentioned the South China Sea is likely to flare up before Taiwan, and maybe even before China's ready to move on Taiwan. The people in the Philippines are fed up. Say 72% with a 72%. Wow. That's more people that can't stand China and Taiwan than people that are would vote against the current regime running our country today. So they seem to be pretty united in this. They're sick of China. Here's the poll. Let's see. Military action span naval patrols and troop presence, 72%. Diplomacy, and other people still like that, but they're more so for the other. Modernize and strengthen military, conduct joint maritime patrol exercises with other countries. 42%. Yeah, expand diplomatic efforts. That's going down. Shelve the disputes for joint economic development. That's nowhere. 14%. So no, they want to push it, guys. South China Sea, Beijing keeps a close eye on the Philippine supply mission of the Second Thomas Shoal. They've rammed ships going there. They've hit them with water cannons, sound blast, lasers, everything but throwing lead at them. It may just be a matter of time till lead starts trading back and forth. Anyway, I have to read into the chat room that you guys are talking some serious stuff in there. That's a good reason to join my channel and watch these videos, especially when you catch them live. I know I go late, but we have a really good chat session running. We got some thinkers in here like Jason Neighbors of Green Country Agroforestry. They think things that's on the fundamental level. But now here's something. We're going to change topics here. Trump tells Fox News, I believe we're going to have a tea attack 100%, possibly due to what? You think? Why, nothing's happening there except Chinese migrants are the fastest growing group crossing the border from Mexico. Oh, yeah. 60 Minutes even covered it. Can you believe it? Even CBS has come up saying that. Of course, they don't tell you what they might do. Now, this guy don't look military, does he? Nah. Oh, there's a little bit of video playing. Look at all those fit guys running across there. A few girls, but they're all pretty fit, too. Look at them just running across. They're ready to go. But I tell you what, them girls may be, and they may be the hardest cases in the group. Look at all them guys coming across. Yeah. Chinese migrants are flocking to the southern border, and some have Chinese TikTok guides how to enter the U.S. There's plenty of folks telling us that they are being sponsored to come across, and are crossing all over the place. If you find that alarming, put a 3 in the chat room. If you think that's okie dokie, put a 4 in the chat room. If you find it alarming that we have so many military-aged migrants from China coming across that are being unvetted, if you find that alarming, put a 3 in. If you're okie dokie with it, put a 4. Let's see what you guys think about that one. Because, frankly, there's a lot of good people in China. But, you know, we're not vetting who's coming. We don't know who's coming across. We don't know. Just like this case, there are terror threats, according to this article. According to this article, coming across the border. And they just grabbed a member of the Al-Shabaab organization in Minnesota. He got across, but they got him in Minnesota later. A member of the Al-Shabaab, a radical T group based out of Somalia, was captured in Minnesota after being released in the United States following initial attention by U.S.-Mexico border, you know, the border guards down there. So they actually had detained him and turned him loose. Wow. How about that? Top of the Border Patrol in March, but there was some mismatch, they claimed. So, but they were incorrect. Oh, well, there's a mismatch. Well, we think he might be a bad guy, but now it's a mismatch. We'll let him go. You know, it's just catch and release down there. Just catch and release. So there's not only the threat, is this part of the reason they allow that in? Musk has his ideas. Musk says President Joe Biden is trying to create a one-party state. He said that in more ways than one. He said, hey, look, they're trying to keep the elections on their side of the aisle, that they're trying to throw elections. You know, in the United States, elections have been won by razor-thin margin, election after election. So they're trying to change the demographic, according to Musk. Could that possibly be true? Well, now, we're not going to let illegals vote, are we? Arizona election law may enable non-citizens to vote in 2024 presidential election, experts warn. Say what? Well, it's just all families with kids. Oh, I see a lot of a whole group. That looks like a platoon. Holy guac and smoke-a-moly, guys. But look at this. Illegal migrants reportedly escaping New York City to California. could be eligible for numerous free benefits in California. California. Well, guys, if you're in California, are you thrilled with that? You got to get a whole lot of people coming down for all that free stuff being handed out. Not only that, hey, if you're a criminal and you're coming in illegally and you want to be a criminal, not only you get stuff gave to you, a lot of money, you can go and burglarize stores and take stuff as long as it's not over a certain dollar value. It's okay in California to go in and take stuff. Yeah. Well, they love lawbreakers. Jeez. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Washington State diverted. So it's not just California, it's the entire West Wokistan. It's the entire West Wokistan, guys. Washington State diverted $340 million in federal funds to immigrants, including $1,000 checks, $1,000 a month. Wow. How come our veterans, homeless veterans, aren't getting help? We'll help somebody broke in the country illegal, but we're not helping a lot of people here that really need it. Wow. This is not opening. This is another article about New York. It's not open. What this article is, it's about New York. New York certainly don't want to be left behind, or well, we're losing these guys. We can't have that. Now, New York is coming out to offer $1,000 a month. That's not come over there and want me to subscribe. $1,000 a month in their state. So now New York wants to offer $1,000 a month to illegal migrants. And I've heard that there are other programs that are doing just that. Ottawa just gave an egregious amount of federal money to Toronto for asylum seekers. Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, they're brought in here, they're given phones, they're given housing. Oh yeah, food, money. Holy walking smoke-a-moly. And we got homeless people here, including homeless vets. Anyway, the governor of Wyoming, I believe that's where she's from, right? No, South Dakota, pardon me. South Dakota. Governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, warns of possible civil war at the border standoff. And what she's talking about here is if Biden decides to federalize the National Guard. That's the case she's talking about. I don't know. But a lot of this raw story is really raw. I mean, raw like it kind of hurts to look at their stuff. These guys are really hard over on the left side of the spectrum on this rag here. And they're saying, oh, another January. Experts fear, unrest in Texas, as they say, extremists flock to Albert's blockade. You know what? Problem is, all those guys are peaceful. You've been seeing this kind of stuff from this side of the aisle for weeks. Oh, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. These people are horrible. No, they're not. The convoy guys were peaceful. Nothing happened. All they did is had some rallies and waved some flags and had some speeches and showed some psychological support for Texas and the people there trying to cover the border so that we don't get bad folks crossing. And, they had some dinners and things, some music. And they did point out this, like one guy said, this is a national security crisis. Now, I find that hard to argue with. And somebody was talking about the trafficking problem. I don't dare say all that on here. And they've even said the United States is the largest sponsor of that problem. Anyway, guys, what do y'all think? But all the while, there's been just numerous massive chicken farm fires, chicken processing facility fires. It burned for days all at once. This is occurring. Somehow, for some reason, chickens are combusting everywhere. Just for some strange coincidental reason. What is that all about? Must be just totally coincidental, but for some reason, it's the chicken's turn to take the flames. Jeez. happening, I hear, all over the South, but particularly in Texas. I don't know, guys. Really strange stuff. Really strange stuff. You know, this is one reason you need to be growing your own stuff. Now, maybe this farm don't belong to somebody overseas, from Beijing. Maybe they're taking out their competition, or maybe they just want us to eat nothing but the bugs. What is going on, guys? Oh, we got some recent earthquakes. I'm going to update this if that's still true. It's probably the way. Oh, yeah, here, Japan. 5.0. And Nishinu, I can't even say it, Muti, Japan. Got one down here. Pueblo, BC, Mexico. Pretty rocking. We'll go to space weather. I will read the chat room before we go over into the actual weather. We got one off Guam, 5.4. Indonesia's always popping, 5.3. Always something going. Tonga's quiet right now, but we got one not too far away here, New Caledonia. All righty, folks. Look at this. We got a new sunspot, a big one. One that was so big it was seen on the other side, seen from Mars, because Mars is right now on the other side of the sun. So the robot rovers on Mars, Perseverance, actually saw this sunspot. Now, it's not an astronomical instrument, but it saw this sunspot. Now it's rotating around. So look out, guys. We're in for some more activity from the sun, potentially. That could be a very active spot. Look at that, guys. That's huge. That is humongous. Here comes the Martian sunspot, according to spaceweather.com. So watch out. Like I've been saying, until we get our grid hardened, which there seems to be little interest at the utility companies in DC to harden the grid, but until we get it done, we're facing a potential threat to our power grid. If people don't take it down first, the sun might. Nothing big to worry about in the asteroid department for the next few weeks. All righty, folks. We'll just kind of look at the weather. Yeah, we've been getting rain here. Looks like the snow just sticks in Maine. Well, there's a river of water and stuff coming in on the West Wokistan. A lot of snow out there. We'll go into that in a minute, but let's stop the share for a minute. I'm going to read the chat room. Hello. Let's see here. Let me go through the chat room. So this is a part, if you're watching for the news, if you're interested in the chat, you can stay a while, take off your shoes and stay a while. But if not, that's the news part. All righty, folks. I like to see what people are saying. Discernment. Well, that's an interesting username. Real power is achieved when the ruling class controls the material essentials of life, granting and withholding them from the masses as if they were privileges. That's why I promote independence. That's why I promote ideas like homesteading. Oh, yeah. It's one thing to have supplies, but eventually you go through them. You need to be able to grow your own crops, in spite of all these people say, "Oh, look, you're putting out too much carbon." They're going to now they've announced that the gardens are, putting out so much carbon. You can bet our friends at the House of Klaus are going to be calling to stop gardening, most likely. How's the new place going? Well, I got to liquidate this place, and I'm just going through some tax stuff, and I got a lot of paperwork to go through, and I got to liquidate all this stuff around me, the files, and that's what's going to take more time than anything. Once the bigger stuff, I can just throw in boxes, but I got a bunch of administrative stuff I got to plow through. So, I don't trust anybody. Yeah, trust no man. That's the best way to be. So, guys, I got a lot of stuff to get ready here. And hopefully I'll be back out in Arizona in March. Hopefully I'll have this stuff liquidated and sell this place. But this place is not even a good position to sell until I move some stuff out. So yeah, there you go. New Day's posted the True Leaf Market link there. Definitely check out my links to True Leaf Market and Eden Brothers, because if you're growing your own, you need to do it in a way that you don't have to go to the store to get stuff, because there may not be any stores. All this stuff takes place. All these people are gardening where everything they buy, they go to the stores for the plants, they go to the stores for all the fertilizers, they go to stores for the pesticides, everything they use. They just go to stores every year because they think the stores will always be there. Those guys ain't been going. Those gardeners are not going to be gardening. So I've been warning you guys from the get go about that and showing you how to do it. And I've got some of my first videos on here were gardening videos, and everything I did was stuff that required no chemical inputs. Yeah, you can grow really good food and grow lots of it. And of course, I use worms. Now, you can just do regular composting, but if you want to accelerate your composting, use worms. They make the best compost you'll ever use. Use worms, worm castings, worm tea. So that's something to consider, guys. Super glue, well, you might want to stock up on that, because it definitely ain't going to be in the store shelves. Stock up on duct tape. Super glue. Yeah, I got packs of super glue down here, batteries, but eventually all that stuff's going to wear out. That's why I've done all those videos talking about hand tools. Everybody else is doing videos about how to save your electronics. Like, that's prepping. I don't consider that prepping. Sorry, because eventually all that's going to break. At some point in time, all that's going to... It'll give you advantage for a little while. Yeah, I got power tools and generators and stuff. Hopefully I can run that for a little bit. But I've also got a lot of hand tools. And I have encouraged people to get hand tools because they're durable. Get lots of them. And, know who your local blacksmith is or become him. I've actually mentioned that in some of my videos. The old people can use old-fashioned carpentry skills. Get the old tools, the stuff that your grandparents used to use, or in my case, my parents. So, yeah, that's the thing you need to do. Seriously, guys. A Faraday cage might work, it might preserve your stuff, but Faraday cages are not entirely reliable. There was a gentleman who used a EMP generator device. It was good for putting out like 34,000 volts per meter, and which is far less, it's more along the line of what a regular nuclear device might put out, far less than the hardening spec for your military hard system. The old spec, it's less than the old spec. The new spec was higher. But he tested out one of the newer shelters and totally saturated inside with EMP. It didn't. Their shelter hardening techniques did not work in that case. So, yeah. And a lot of these so-called devices that claim they're going to help you out, watch out. If you think they're going to help you out, some of them are tuned to attenuating some of the E1 waveform, supposedly shunting it to ground. But the thing you got to worry about with your power system is the E3. Yeah, E1 is going to be hard on electronics. E3 is what's going to come in over the power lines from the sun or from EMP. Now, the sun don't even put out E1. The sun does all E3. That's the long wave. That's what's going to get you. And it'll come up through the ground. So if you think you're shutting everything to the ground, what's going to happen when it comes up through the ground? Oh, yeah. So, agate therapy. Oh, there's plenty of people actually do that. Oh, my gosh. They say it's sterile. Let's see. Buy and try antiseptic herbs first. Yeah, I think I'd go with that. What are you guys talking about? Let me go through the chat here. Washboard to clean clothes. Amen. Get you no iron pot like your granny used to wash in. They would heat up water in an iron pot before to do the laundry, so they have hot water. That's the main use of those old iron pots. And unfortunately, a lot of people drilled holes in the bottom so they could stick plants in them and they wouldn't bust when the water collected and wouldn't freeze them and break them. So they drilled holes in them. Oh, what a waste. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, a lot of them got holes drilled in, but you can find iron pots that are still intact. I got a few, and I got a washboard or two. Including, I got one down here somewhere that New Day sent me as a musical instrument. Where is it? Here. I have to do some digging to find it. Maybe one night we'll do a sing along. We've done that before. Not tonight, it's too late. But yeah, iron pots are good to have. They're also good for cooking, especially outside on a big fire if you're cooking for a lot of people. They used to use them to dye their clothes. You make clothes and you would cook up some walnut, boil it up, and dip stuff in there. That'll dye your clothes brown. Might even get green out if you do it right. There's plenty of stuff for that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Know your wild edibles, your wild herbs. I've done videos on that. I'll do more when I get kind of situated out in Arizona. I'll cover herbs and things from out there. Maybe I'll travel around a little bit and see what the rest of the country's got. I keep one eye open at night looking into a mirror because I don't even trust myself. You know, that might be a smart thing here, Larry. You know, my chickens have eaten every blade of anything out of my backyard. I'm going to kindle some eggs from fertilized ones and use my incubator this spring. Need a new batch of chicks. You know, Rhodes, what's his name? Justin Rhodes. One of the most interesting videos he did that really caught my interest. He went to a chicken farm. Well, the guy had these huge compost piles. What's compost do? Make garden stuff, right? He had huge compost piles, and then we get grow worms and things like that in them. Then he just turned his chickens loose on these compost piles. And those chickens were able to feed from the bugs and stuff in that compost. Now, if you're out in the desert, you'd have to water it down some to make it decay faster and have a good bug population in it. But he didn't feed his chickens. They entirely subsisted off that, and he was producing hundreds of eggs for sale. He'd sell eggs. And one of the biggest problems with raising chickens to sell eggs is the cost of feed. Well, he overcame that. And compost, is always good. Even if you got more than you can use, your neighbors need stuff for growing their gardens, right? You can't just keep growing on the same soil forever without replenishing what's in it. And especially if you use compost that is based on tree litter, like leaves, wood, pieces of wood. But it takes a lot longer for the wood to break down, years, especially if you're out in a dry climate, unless you wet it down. But what the trees do, trees draw from deep in the earth. They pull up the nutrients that's deep. So, like you go to the typical farms and gardens, they tend to just fertilize NPK fertilizers, and they don't put in the trace minerals. Those trace minerals are vital. That's what you do. I did see an article lately, and I was going to share it at some point and talk about it, where they've decided, we should put rock dust in the gardens because rock pulls carbon out of the atmosphere. It's a good way to put the carbon down in the atmosphere. Well, actually, that's a good thing to do because that actually helps remineralize your gardens, your soils, your farms. They should do that everywhere. That would get our minerals back in and would get a lot of our trace minerals back. Rock dust is good. Now, one of the favorites of organic gardens is a rock dust called azomite. Actually, dolomite is a rock dust. Garden, agriculture, ag lime. I don't buy the so-called garden lime. It's chemically treated. But the ag lime's like, somebody give me a super chat or something. Let me go down and see what that is. Whoa. What is that? I missed that. Oh, there we are. The wheelchair user. What do you think a volcanic winter or nuclear winter first? Wow. That's kind of hard to say right now because Campi Lafergie and next to Naples is really boiling. A lot of people think it's on the verge of going out. That could produce a volcanic winter. But with all the tension in the world right now, all the hatred, with all the proliferation of nuclear powers, the idea that we would not have a nuclear winter is all too, we're on the wrong side of that probability, guys. It's all too probable that we may find ourselves in a nuclear war, at least one large enough that it could kick up a nuclear winter. So the probability of having a long-term winter like that is huge. That is one reason you really want to have as much food set by as you can have, because you might not be able to garden for a couple of years, but you won't be the only one not growing anything. The farmers won't be growing anything. That is one of the key reasons to store stuff. Another thing you need to store is seeds. You may plant your crops and suddenly you got a frost in July and everything gets bit and goes wilts down. If that was all the seed you had, then you're just out of luck. You need extra seeds, at least twice as much as it would take to grow a crop. Maybe 3 times, maybe more, because you might want to share seeds with your neighbors so they can also grow something and not come to eat you. Furthermore, I bought extra hand tools, gardening tools, just in case we could grow in all the neighbors' yards. If you do it properly, and it's something Jason I've talked about in here, and I've showed the WWIII family that does this. I just saw another article pop up about them in the news services, and within the last week, the WWIII family, Pasadena, California, on their property on a 1/10 of an acre in the backyard, they grow enough food to feed a family of 4. Was a family of 4. The father, Jules WWIII, passed away, unfortunately. I did meet him before he did, but he has already passed before I went out there and did the video with his children. But the 3 adult kids he's got out there. But they stayed on the farm and they continue to grow there. They were able to feed a family of 4 off of a 1/10 of an acre, everything except the grain products. But because what they grew was high value, not only were they able to eat from it, but they sold from that. They made a living off of a 1/10 of an acre. Supported at one time 4 people. They lived meager, but they didn't need a lot. They weren't trying to keep up with the Joneses. They had what they needed. They had all the basic essentials, and they were very happy. And, they have the front yard. They got a little area set up for gatherings, and neighbors come over, and they have little musical events and all kind of events in their yard from friends and family. So it's they're one of the best, well-adjusted families I've seen anywhere, and I really have a lot of admiration for them. So the Stradivarius violin was a product of a volcanic winter. If you're looking for a silver lining. Hey, you know how I open my power grid defense conferences? I open my power grid defense conferences by saying this: no matter how bad it gets, no matter how tough it is, no matter how hard the going is, you can rest assured that there's a silver lining around every mushroom cloud. Yeah, people would give me that kind of look when I'd say that. They'd be kind of, yeah, okay, yeah, whoa. When I said mushroom cloud. But the key thing is to get through it, survive. But the more food you can put up in reserve, the better your chances are. But you gotta have, you can live maybe 30, 40 days without food. You gotta have water filtration, water purification, water sanitization. You got to be able to purify and sanitize water. It's 2 different things. And your water filters, even the ceramic ones, don't get the viruses out. They get out the bacteria, but not the viruses. And they oversell those things. They tell you, oh, you can run hundreds of thousands of gallons through this. Oh, that's bunk. They way oversell the capabilities of those systems. But beats a stick in the eye. But, I've also shown you on my little video the multiple ways to purify and sanitize water. And I probably need to go back and do that again and do it with 5-gallon buckets to show a scaled up version of that. So I think that's the real way you ought to do it. Just nest 5-gallon buckets with all those different ingredients in there that I was putting in the bottles in those videos. The leaves and the sand, the charcoal, the rocks. Well, it starts with the rocks and ends with the sand. Leaves, rocks, charcoal, sand, activated charcoal, hopefully, if you can get that. But you can take a lot of stuff out like that. Yeah, you got to know them. Lots of people eat mushrooms, but I advise against eating mushroom clouds. Yeah, that's kind of rough eating. But it is hot and spicy. If you like it hot, it don't get any hotter than that. It's hotter than the surface of the sun, when the fireball starts. So, yeah, guys, that is, we're facing a lot of serious challenges, and a lot of people they take it for granted. They're not paying attention, and especially are not paying attention to the risk of the sleeper cells, what they could do to the power grid. It's just too easy. Rodney, hey, salute, Rodney. Yeah, I need to get me a donut to go with my coffee. All right, that sounds like a job for tomorrow. I've talked about the spent fuel rods many times. You're exactly right, Jason. There's hundreds of times more nuclear material in the spent fuel rod pools at the power plants than there are in all the warheads in the world combined. And people just, they don't think about it. I get all kind of preppers coming back and replying. I always get the comments on my videos. Oh, I don't have to worry about it because I'm off grid. I'm out in the woods and I'll be okay. Well, you may not be for two reasons. One is the fact that, the cities are going to be like fire ant hills that somebody's kicked or a hornet nest that somebody hit with a baseball bat. Yeah, they're all going to be pouring out. They're going to be hunting something to eat somewhere else because there ain't nothing to eat there. These people will be pouring out, and they may be coming to your neighborhood. They're going to search high and low everywhere for everything they can eat, including you. You're going to look like Longport to them. That's one reason you should go to our survivaltribenetwork.com, which WWIII set up, is so that you can be prepared for that, guys. Serious. You really need to consider what you've got to do to be able to defend yourselves, because you might be, with a spit wad, you might be the best in the West. But everybody's got their off minute. Everybody's got their time that they're sick. You break a leg, what are you going to do? Mutual assurance groups, survival tribes. That's one of the best things. But you've got to work hard to form a good group, because like I said, we got to vet people coming across the border. We also need to vet if you're joining the tribe you're going into, or if you're setting one up, you got a property or something. You got to really vet and know the people you're bringing in. I mean, you really got to know them, because it's kind of like getting married. And we don't have a good track record with marriages lasting in this country of late. So you got to think about that very seriously. And a lot of people will join these groups, and it's their whole idea just to freeload off somebody else. And that's not going to work in survival situations, because everybody's got to work and work hard. If you go back to the old days, when people were, what we call prepping was a way of life, everybody worked extremely hard. I mean, the diet they ate, big bowls of biscuits and gravy for the morning, a lot of sausage and bacon, and big lunches, big dinners. They would eat over 4,000 calories a day, and they were skinny as a rail. They were eating like Olympian trainers. That's the way people ate. Oh, yeah, like they were working out for the Olympics, because they were working out that hard. They were working really hard. They needed those calories to sustain their level of output. And you'll need that too if you're working that hard. Normally, you might need 1,800 calories a day. But, at least My Patient Supply gives 2,000. A lot of your other food prep companies, their daily proportion is 800 calories. If you saw my videos with John Hollerman, you would know that the starvation programs that were tested in some of the universities, the people were actually eating over 800 calories, and they got in bad shape fast. So that's not survival. But, I would say, get your stuff stretched out, and if you know how to do wild edibles, that will help you if things are going outside. But in a nuclear winter, you're going to be limited. The cambium layers inside of tree bark might be part of your ticket, some roots that are underground, but it may be nothing really growing. A nuclear winter could be exceedingly rough, and wild game is going to go fast. Oh, yeah. You'll be lucky to catch a rat. So, hey, Wendy, thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Thank you for being here. I know we're late, and hopefully we won't go too much longer. It's already 3:26. I've been in here for 63 minutes. I don't want to go much longer. I don't want to be all night again. So just letting you guys know that you got to take this serious. We're in a very serious moment. I mean, think about this. We've never been challenged at our border like we're being challenged now. Never in the history of this country. But it's because that's been allowed. We have tensions in this country. We're so politically divided. That's the basic root of the tensions that lead us potentially toward a civil war. We don't want a civil war. That's the worst thing you can imagine. And these tensions aren't just here in America. This is happening in every Western country. All of them are facing these kind of things. Yeah, but but a lot can't hunt. Well, the thing is, though, if you think about this, the days of our ancestors, we're talking over 100 years ago, like 100, even back in the Great Depression, that was 100 years ago. But further back, when all they had was muzzleloaders. Remember, what was that pigeon? Carrier, what? Not carrier pigeon. What was the name of that pigeon that used to darken the skies that we totally wiped out? Some guys did with muzzle loading shotguns. Remember that? No, we don't need a civil war. Now, there are plenty of examples where countries can split and do so peaceably, a national divorce if it comes to that. But, it will be a much weaker nation. But maybe that's what some want. What were they telling us would happen by 2030? America would not be the strongest nation on earth. How does that come about in just 6 years? See, guys, some of us love freedom. We like our freedom of speech. We don't want to be subservient to a ruling class. We don't want to be the peasants in the system. We just want to, all we really want is to be able to live our lives in peace and do our job and just have, a home, be able to raise children if we so choose, and be able to go out and see things and do things. We just want to be able to live in peace and we want to have peace and prosperity. That's all we really, really want. But some folks don't like that for us. They want us all to live in ISO shipping containers that are rack and stacked by the railroad track and eat the bugs. There's those among us that they deem worthy of being around to do that, which might be a lot smaller number than who's here today. See, they got an issue, as Hillary told us. She talked about the deplorables here in Flower Zone between East and West Wokistan. And she said they cling to their Bibles and guns. Oh my gosh. So it seems that some people just aren't totally in love with us. So I'm saying we are what keeps them from having their dream accomplished. So we're in the way. So they like to get us out of the way. Don't forget that. Whatever that means. Yeah, that's the real deplorable. You're right, Tracy. Yeah, well, 2030 is, if you go to the sustainable goals and under the UN, go to the UN website, that's when they want to accomplish all their dreams. I heard recently that they're behind schedule. Good. Let's stop the schedule. We can have a sustainable world. Some of the stuff that that Jason Avery, Green Country Agroforestry, was referring to when he was talking about what George Orwell said about how to have their power, they got to control your material needs and wants, like your food. If you're on a homestead and you're growing as much of your own as you can, if you have a community where different people can share different aspects of labor, different people specialize in different things, but you're in a community like a survival tribe, you can be almost self-reliant. Tribes were self-reliant. You won't need them. That's part of that universal habitat I showed you guys way back when over on Green Gregs and Galactic Gregs, my space channel. I've taught that survival. I've taught my universal habitat there. That's a home you can live in and make a living out of and grow all your food in. Because I based it size-wise on what the devices are doing. What Jason and I have talked about in here, we're growing food, enough food to feed you on 1/10 of an acre. Not the way the devices do, because they're mainly growing high dollar crops for sale, plus eating, and they're not self-sustainable for their bread. But you can do it if you follow the kind of things that Jason and I were talking about, which I've reiterated and actually drew out little plots and talked about in 2 or 3 other videos I've done subsequent to that since then. So I put this content in my videos, guys. Those videos don't get many people watching, unfortunately. That's the stuff you need to watch and pay close attention to, because that's how you get through this. But you better save some seeds. I also did a video about the Indians, American Indians, the Cherokee in particular, when they're on the Trail of Tears, how valuable seeds were to them. It's pretty mind-blowing. You need to watch that video. I did that like 3 or 4 years ago. That's a very powerful video. And folks need to go back and watch that. And I'll give you some idea about how to hide your seeds. I'll talk that in the future. So, hit the bottom button, see what's the latest chat. Yes, communities is a key. Please find folks you can help and those that can help you. If things get ugly, we will be tribal for a while. It may be the way we go. I mean, that's been the basic root of how people survived for thousands of years, at least. Tens of thousands of years. Let's see. Everyone should listen to Paul Harvey. Oh, yeah, If I Were the Devil. Yeah, well, that's a documentary. From our perspective today, yeah, that's where we're at. Jerry again, West Greg, when I grew, we raised our food, no TV, no phone. We did have a radio. We worked daylight to dark. I will survive. There you go. Exactly. And that's why when I did some of the videos of my dad, I was bringing that up, just how hard people had to work, how they had to scratch for a living. And they did, but they did it and they survived. And they were happy people. But it wasn't easy. They had to work real hard. That's what you have to do in these times that we're talking about. And a lot of people just aren't conditioned for that mentally or physically. That's why you should get your hand tools and start practicing using them. You know, I got my little hand garden tiller. I think I showed that. I said it's my favorite gardening tool, and it is. I can actually till better with that than I can a gas-powered tiller. Yeah, that's a lot of work, but it does a better job. And it don't require gasoline. And it don't make racket. You go, I love that thing. Most of your silos are in Montana, Wyoming, Dakotas. There's a few down in Colorado. That's where most of them are at, Larry. If you look at the target map of the United States, you'll see those are the areas that are blackened. Just go look up the FEMA target map. That'll give you some idea what they're aiming at. My grandparents survived the Great Depression. My parents survived the Great Depression. My dad was like 8 when it hit, 8-year-old. So, yeah. He knew what it was like before. He remembered before the Depression hit. During the Depression, of course, after the Depression, he went through all that. Then he went to World War II. He got 3 Bronze Stars in the war. He didn't even tell me that. I didn't know it till his funeral. The military came out and he got a military funeral, and they recited that and found out, yeah, my dad had 3 Bronze Stars. I didn't even know it. So, and he wasn't in the war, but well over 2 years. He went in a little bit late, but he jumped in behind enemy lines to what was supposed to have been his 3rd training mission. That's what in the military we call good training. You know, my mother did, born in 1942. Yeah. So, my parents survived too. They were young, both born in 1918. Oh yeah, they knew about it, Colorado Jan. Air Force to update nuclear missiles. Yeah, they're building a new intercontinental ballistic missile. Mother missed it. Yeah, she missed it. That's in 42. That was after the Depression. Granddad came here during the Dust Bowl. Oh wow, because land was cheap. Let that be a lesson. When some people see adversity, others look for an opportunity. True. And that was brilliant on his part. He probably got a lot of land cheaper than he could have otherwise because everybody was fleeing at the time. Take it off. It's far better than self-sufficient. Well, John Baxter, the shelves won't last long. Go to the grocery stores in time of adversity and see how fast the shelves empty out. All right, guys, let me show y'all some pictures of my grocery store shelves just lately. Hang on. The idea that you can survive by taking it, that's living by the sword. Live by the sword, something else happens by the sword, right? So let me see if I find these pictures. Yeah, they take it from other folks, especially there's something they call wolf preppers. They think that they're going to survive by robbing other preppers. You know, my response to that is, hey, come on, I need something to feed my worms. Now, this was a week after the storms. This picture I took a week after we had ice storms here. Still had bare shelves. Let's see if I can find something to storm itself. Yikes. That was after the storms. Yeah. Here's the same shelves during the storms, even barer. Get an idea? It don't take but a day to get like that. Why? Grocery stores run just in time. Shelves go barren quick. Does anyone have Greg's Discord? Yeah, some of the mods can share that. Oh, good night, Pagan. So let's give y'all some ideas. Yeah. And another thing, if you're going to survive by trying to live off the preppers, you better be one tough hombre. But you know, you're rolling the dice every time you go for something somebody else has got, especially when they're preppers. You're rolling the dice, and at some point that dice roll is not going to come up in your favor. Miracle will be skinny again. You got that right. Very skinny, very fast. The hard part is getting people nowadays, even in a small town, all on the same page. Well, the good thing about Arizona, statewide, 40% of the people there are preppers. Now, if you think about it, most people in Arizona, most people in Arizona live in southern Arizona, Phoenix and Tucson. I would have said they're city slickers. Most of them are not preppers. So if you take a place like northern Arizona, where I'm going, almost everybody's a prepper. all the neighbors around me, everybody I talk to, man, they're preppers, big time. So everybody's stocking up, has been from way back there. And they got plans to stop the people from southern Arizona coming up north. They're not going to be coming north. They got to cross three sets of mountains, 3 passes to get north, and they're not going to be traversable. And there's more than one group that's vowed to make sure that happens. And I hear everything's in place. That the people if you happen to be visiting in what they call the Valley in Arizona, which is southern Arizona, and the lights go out, you got 45 minutes to get out. That's it. Back then, they were trying to stop the desert from coming east. Part of that is the weather cycle, but land management's a big factor. Oh, yeah. And that's where, for a while, they started doing a lot of good land management practices, which they seem to have forgot of late. Small modular reactors certified for use in Oregon. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if you watch some other videos on Galactic Greg, so I've covered that actually. Well, I think the one I covered was mainly in the molten salt reactor. But anyway, so there's a lot people can do. Thumbs up. But have your own way to produce power. Don't rely on the grid, especially if you get an EMP, or solar or coronal mass ejection. You can expect that to go. Microgrids will be better, but your own is it better yet. If you can live off grid, you're ahead of the game. Not saying that it's game that you're suddenly got everything covered. I get people telling me that. I get other people says, well, Greg, I don't need to garden. I got bang bangs. I can go out in the woods and get my food. Well, what I was about to say, yeah, remember all those pigeons that got extinguished back in the days of black powder weapons? That wasn't all. Big game got nearly wiped out by just a few people. The number of hunters then were less than the hunters today. The hunters today got big game rifles, high-powered rounds, and lots of them. But when it gets down with the biggest game is something that would fit in your hand, and you take one of those rifles after it and you bang it, there ain't gonna be nothing but a fur ball. There'll be nothing there left over. So you might wish you had something much smaller caliber, or maybe you're doing some trapping. But even then, like I said, you might be lucky to find a rat. You might be lucky, really lucky, just to find a rat. I remember too, a lot of our lakes and streams here in the lower 48 are replenished by what do you call fisheries? What do you call them? Where they raise the fish? I'm forgetting the name of it. I bought fish from them myself. Pond stockers, pond stocking outfits. There's another word for that. Anyway, don't come to mind right now. I don't have everything covered, but I won't starve either. There you go. I know you know how to grow food. But you need to think about on a free victory. You need to think about, medicinals too. Because you're not going to be buying a lot of stuff. Now, something good to know is like if you can grow oregano, oil of oregano is both antiviral and antibacterial. Honey is antiviral and antibacterial. There's quite a few things that are good in those departments. I'm sure New Days can probably toss a few in here for suggestions. Squirrel and rabbits and fish. Well, when I was growing up, Sand Mountain didn't have any deer on it. Now, well, Alabama had more deer in any state in the union. There were all in the South where they grew the paper mills, grew a lot of timber there. But they've come north. Now they're all over the place here. There's lots of deer here, but they're not going to last. There's wild turkey. I heard some diseases wiping out all the wild turkey. But fish hatchery, yeah, that's it. Hatchery. So, Nightman's wife, you calling tonight? All right. Oh, what was that? What'd she say? Oh, thank you. Okay, finally got to the Discord. Okay. Thyme is antibacterial. Okay. Yeah, TYME. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. That's why you need to really study your herbs and wild medicinals, stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff there that's good to have. All the chafe foods are gone. Only deer stuff left. Yeah, deer ain't going to be around for long. I'd give it a few weeks and they'll all be gone. Just a few weeks, if that. If that. Once all these hunters pour out in the woods, and they'll be so busy taking out the herd, they'll be taking each other out by accident. So you might want to watch it. Sunflower oil is antifungal and antiviral. Okay, sunflower oil. That's interesting. Yeah, antifungals may be very important to know about, especially in a nuclear or volcanic winter. Antifungals should be in big demand. Consider vinegar. Know how to make, maybe need to learn how to make alcohol, vinegar, stuff like that. During the Depression, the wildlife were the first to go. Oh, yeah, hunt it out. Oh, yeah, even rabbits got scarce, very scarce. People were eating their pet dogs, cats during the Great Depression. I've heard a lot of stories about that. Sage for congestion. There you go. Mullein, breathing problems. Yep. A lot of mullein grows in Arizona. There were some good patches of mullein. I don't have any mullein right around here. There was mullein grew on Sand Mountain where I grew up, but around this area here, I don't see any mullein. I don't know why. It's kind of strange, but we had it on Sand Mountain where I grew up. That was one of the first things I was told when I was a kid by somebody that learned it from the Indians that used to be here. They would smoke it. No cheap beans left, only expensive beans. Oh, that's not good. Well, people are prepping. You don't want to be the last person prepping. Right now, people are starting to wake up and go, oh, geez, what's going on? I better grab some stuff. So that's the supplies are going right now. The evolutionary pressure to produce more in smaller units is interesting. Exactly what one would expect if the extinction pressure was a loss of atmosphere. Oh, I do think Earth's atmosphere has been going down over the ages. Every time we take an impact from something, we lose some of our atmosphere. Every big asteroid is hit, like the one that got the dinosaurs, the one hit 35 million years ago. All these big impacts knock some of the atmosphere off. You know, if you go back to the days of the brontosauruses and the big dinosaurs, you know, a brontosaurus only had nostrils as big as a horse. It wouldn't survive today. I don't even think their legs would hold up. I think with the air pressure we got today, if you put a brontosaurus in our environment today, I think the blood veins in its legs would rupture and it'd bleed out and die. It either asphyxiate or bleed out for, I don't know which one to get it first. But, you know, there was more air pressure, probably held that blood in their veins and the legs. Now, I think how much air you've got is proportional to how big, you know, I think size of animals is proportional to atmospheric pressure. As pressure goes down, the size goes down. If you think about 50 million years ago, the mammals were larger than they are today. Now, why was that? When mammals first got proliferating, they were bigger than the mammals we have now. And even the Ice Age mammals were bigger. But we took a big whack back at the end of the Younger Dryas, 12,500 years ago. I think that knocked the air down some. You don't see the short-nosed cave bear or the Dryas wolf. A lot larger than the bears and wolves we have today. Deer were bigger. Animals just keep getting smaller. And that may be correlating to the atmosphere getting less and less. See, a lot of people think, oh, there was more oxygen in the atmosphere. That's why you had 2-foot-long wingspans on dragonflies, really big bugs, and even go further back in time, centipedes were, 40 foot long or something crazy. And the insect, how big an insect can get is governed by getting oxygen into the inner body, and they do it through holes in their abdomen, thorax, or wings for some creatures. But it comes in, it gets wicked in by ciliary action. And you got less oxygen or better yet, less pressure in the air, it won't go as far. So the bug size gets smaller. To me, that's not a sign of having less percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere. I think it's less atmospheric pressure. I really do. There'll be giants. Yeah, well, maybe giants fared better in the old days. We took another whack in the Indian Ocean back in about 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, which lines up pretty well with the flood stories. And it did create tsunamis around the entire Indian Ocean basin, major tsunamis. But it's believed that when that impactor hit, and they found a crater for it, that when that thing hit, it evaporated a lot of the ocean water. And a lot of that came down. Rain all around the world. We had huge deluge of rain. 40 days and 40 nights. Yeah, that's probably pretty close. It would have rained at least a month. Solid rain. And if you were living in the Andes Mountains, real high up, you would have been flooded. At least in the rain. You wouldn't have been like the ocean coming up, but the rain would have been horrendous. So everybody would have experienced that. That's global warming. Yeah, I proudly promote global warming. Fruit flies in a 100% oxygen tank get huge as bread as they breed. Yeah. Well, yeah, because the oxygen will go deeper into them. Their generations advance fast, so they evolved to be able to handle that. So you can either turn up. I believe you can either turn up the pressure or the percentage content of oxygen. But you get the percentage content of oxygen a lot higher, than forest fires would rage like crazy. So I tend to think and that's just my hypothesis. It needs testing and validating and a lot of research to prove or disprove. But I think it's air pressure, because we do know John Lewis was I don't know, he's probably retired or may have passed away. I got a number of books he wrote. He is from the University of Arizona, and he would write about comets and asteroids and the effects of impacts and how to actually colonize them and use them and mine them. He wrote quite a few books on that. John Lewis, Dr. John Lewis from University of Arizona. Y'all need to check him out if you're interested in that sort of thing. But he was one of the guys that talked about atmospheric erosion, how over time, and it happens on all the planets. This happened on probably one of the things that's contributed to Mars losing a lot of atmosphere, because Mars also lost its magnetic field, and so the sun just strips a lot of it away. This whole idea of terraforming Mars, it might be good for a little while, but if you can't build a magnetic field, it's going to be a loss. I'm kind of in favor of just building domed habitats and keeping the atmosphere inside. The sun will ignite the methane in the air. Hex flare. Well, if you had a lot of oxygen, that would definitely ignite. Well, methane, anything that burns has got to have oxygen to combust it. Now, a lot of planets won't have oxygen in the atmosphere. And so you're not going to get a lot of ground critters running around. And you may need oxygen in the atmosphere just to have prolific sea life even. I'm not really sure that a body like Europa would have life underneath it, unless there's something to put oxygen in that water. So something to look into. So the limitations of where life can be may be a lot tighter than a lot of people account for. So that's another thing. Yeah, someone left their CPAP machine on and it's out of pressure. Oh Lord. Loud aspirin can be made from willow. Oh yeah, I did a whole video on willow. I did. I got some willow trees out here. You can eat the leaves, actually. And they're bitter, but that's the acid that makes aspirin. What is that acid's name? I'm sure Jason will pop it in here in a minute. The acid that's used to make aspirin is in the aspen tree and in the willow tree. So, but you can actually chew a few leaves and get the same effect, or you can get it out of the bark, the inner bark is just fine. We have to work out how to have a functional ecosystem for those of us that live on Earth. Is a good laboratory for that. Amen. All right, maybe when you want to build some universal habitat homes, maybe build them where you can pressurize them inside to keep your air up. Yeah, there you go. I knew you'd come up with it. Salicylic acid. Salicylic acid. It was evading my mind right now. So thank you for that. Free medicine. Amen. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can tap, and you got to learn these things. That's what our ancestors did. They didn't go to the stores to get this stuff. My ancestors would work year round, work hard, produce crops to eat, and then they would sell their crops, and out of that, they would be able to buy a few pair of shoes, maybe a little cloth to make some clothes with, or they use fertilizer bags as much as they could. I remember when my mom used to use flour sacks as wash rags. They used to come in paper sacks just for that reason. And when they switched to paper sacks, for a while they would put a cloth rag on them. That went away. But just to get people used to the transition, for a while they actually put a cloth wash rag on the flour sacks. But then they went away from that when they transitioned to paper flour sacks. But it used to come in cloth. Feed used to come in burlap bags instead of paper bags. Yeah, you go to the feed store, you got your feed in a burlap bag. Fertilizer, UANR, came in. I got blankets on my bed that were made from UANR sacks. And a lot of women would make some of their clothing from that. And they would stuff it with cotton or maybe chicken feathers for a mattress. I had a big cotton mattress I used for years. We used to have feather pillows. And that's all they had to use. So feather pillows, cotton stuffed mattresses. I was an adult before I got rid of my cotton stuffed mattress. And that thing was old. A lot of systems we've built are good, just being ran by crooks. Well, power corrupts, and it always will. You allow them to have a one-party system, look out. Feed sack dresses. I have some quilts made from feed sacks. Me too. And I got one on my bed right now. My mother made it when she was 16. No, I got about 4 blankets my mother made when she was 16 years old. Yeah, they're old. They're starting to get a little rough, so I'm thinking about retiring them. I take one off my bed. I'm only using one now, so I've started substituting other stuff because I'm just finally wearing them out. I mean, I've been using them for decades, and they were around before I was here. Mom used flour sacks for dish towels. Yeah, make pillowcases. Amen. I mean, that's what they used. I mean, they didn't have a lot of money, even though they worked really hard. They only bought a few things with that. They'd buy some sugar, some salt, might buy a little bang bang powder. That was about it. Some sugar, some salt, maybe some tobacco, if you weren't growing your own tobacco. And, maybe, you buy a plow, maybe some halter equipment for your mule, for your wagon. You'd go to your blacksmith for a lot of that stuff. So they worked hard to buy a few little things. Most people only had 2 sets of clothes. You'd have your everyday, what you wore all day during the week, and you would have what you'd wear on Sunday. That's about it. That was about it. You might wear your Sunday clothes 2 days so that Mama could wash the other stuff, and then she'd wash your Sunday clothes the next day. I don't know. Refrigerators were wells. And you'd put your milk down the well, dug wells. You lower your milk into the well where it's 55 degrees, not 40 degrees like our refrigerators today. Meat was salted. Pork, that's why they like pork. It was easy to salt. Everybody raised some pigs. Everybody had chickens. You had chickens, you had pigs, and you grew your corn. The fodder was fed to the mules. Whatever milk cow you might have had, everybody would have a milk cow. That was the main thing for cattle back then. It wasn't beef cattle, it was just milk cows. And not many. Every farm would have a milk cow, a bunch of chickens. Should run around in the yard. They were free range. And my grandma used to cook a big pound of cornbread, and whatever wasn't ate, she would feed to the chickens, the cats, and the dogs. That's all anything got to eat was cornbread. I said, Ma, you need to get some dog food or something. That dog is a carnivore. They don't live off cornbread. She said, yes, they do. It should feed them cornbread. Well, that's all it's really musty dog food anyway. It's corn. So use it up, wear it, make it. Oh yeah, and I had a lot of secondhand clothes. I had a lot of the clothes I had growing up was clothes my uncles wore when they were younger. It was handed down, hand-me-downs. They'd patch them, mend them, make them go as far as they could go. Patch them, mend them. Oh yeah. So we forget these things now. We got so much clothes and so much this and so much that, and people don't even respect it. And it gets a tear, you throw it away. I didn't used to do that. Built this city for what? Just so all nutters could pull it down. Well, when the grid goes down, the cities probably will come down. It's gonna be a bad place to be. There's, produce food, sustenance, items of sustenance, all comes from outside. Feed these cities. And the big squishes. Oh, I love squishes. They grow pretty fast. For your summer squash, though, you really got to watch the squish bugs. There's ways to handle that. I was going to do a video on that. I hadn't done that. So that might be a future video. Throwaway society. Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't have no plastics back then. When I was a kid, even candies and a lot of stuff came in wax paper bags or wax paper wrappers for like a peanut butter log, which was a candy thing. they used to get when I was a kid. It was a wax paper. Does anybody remember wax paper being used to put stuff in that you'd buy at the store? I ain't seen wax paper since 60s probably. A long time since I've seen wax paper. And, you know, we had wax paper in the house, you know, and didn't even have paper towels. There was no disposable diapers. All the diapers were cloth, which means they had to be washed. It's a good grandma was meaner than a rattlesnake. It's all good grandma was meaner than a rattlesnake. So yeah, there you go. I can get a VA home loan and am thinking about a climate for gardening and a couple of acres. Search Redfin. Yeah, okay, well, good luck with that. Meanie talking like defeat us like it's already beat. Well, John, here's the deal. Living that way is not defeatism. It can be victory because you're surviving. My ancestors lived, my parents lived that way. It's all they knew. Just the way it was. And back then, people had communities and they stuck together. They actually had a pretty rich life, social-wise, because people pulled for each other, helped each other out. They worked hard, but they were glad to have the opportunity. So it's not defeatism, it's survival. But the world we're in today is, with all the tensions in the world, it's not looking good. And if you can't accept that, you're not paying attention. That's why I put out a lot of the material I put out here. Make a pot, fill it, toss it. Well, you need to preserve your pots. Whatever you got, take care of them. Oh yeah, a lot of stuff used to get glued together. I bet they used them for night soil. Larry, you can't recast a government loan. VA loans or government loans. What do you mean by recast? Yeah, if you probably can't assume a VA loan from somebody else that's got one. I still have a wax paper in my kitchen. I remember our sandwiches for lunch being wrapped in wax paper and shoved in a paper bag. That's right. Grandma Scott was very close. Oh, very obese. And she was in her 80s. Well, you know, when you grew up working hard and eating like you were an Olympian, you still have that appetite. And when you're no longer working hard, what happens? But a lot of our food that we have today is based on corn syrup. They use corn syrup and so much stuff and fructose and that junk. That's very fattening. The American diet today, or the ingredients that's going into it, are very fattening. Eat whole foods. Don't eat processed foods. Processed foods are the problem. Get away from the processed foods. Eat whole vegetables. Saltwater taffy still comes in wax paper. Hey there, Brandon. Good to see you in the house there. A vet can assume a VA loan from another vet. Okay, yeah, well, I'm a vet. I think I started my first loan here was a VA. Yeah, I bought this place in a VA loan, but I passed it over. Got it refinanced. It's not a VA loan right now. I think it's loan. This is probably assuming I got very low interest rate. It's like 3%. You come here and buy this place from me, you wouldn't be able to get the entire value because I'm going to ask more for it than what my loan's for. Got to pay off my debts. But if you can get part of a loan for 3%, then you're way ahead of the curve. So, Greg, I was pondering the relative quantity of pot shards and terra preta. I have been their version of throwaway society with clay, not plastic. Oh yeah. Well, clay, pot shards are always useful. Recast and mortgages when you want to make a large payment into a home loan other than the minimum monthly payment. Oh, okay. Hit a jackpot. Oh yeah, well, I can do that. I can pay it off or make double payments on my loan. Yep, this is exactly what I wake up to this hour to think about. Well, I've kept you up. So, Terry Petty, good morning. Yeah. Well, we've been going too long. We need to call it a night here. VA loans don't allow you to make larger payments. And well, every loan I've had, they always told me I could do that. It's not been in my capacity because I had somebody put me in debt way back. That's another story. Anyway, it's 4:07. Let's call it a night, guys. I'd like to ask everybody to pray for their users. I hadn't seen this. Granny Lana been in the house tonight. Pray for her and her granddaughter Kaylee. And of course, we always like to say a little prayer. Just say your prayers and go to bed tonight. Like Randy from Blue Bottle Bunny Farm. But we've been praying for Dennis, my friend Dennis, who's had the stroke. He's recovering. Kaylin Nelson's a friend of mine whose mom passed away. She's a fellow worm farmer from northwest part of the state. If she were closer, she'd have probably taken this place over and sharecropped it and made it work here for me, but she's not too far away. But her mom just passed away. So y'all say a prayer for Kayla. But we're going to call it a night. We may do our other prayer session. We got started late. It's 4:00, and it's going to take me an hour just to do what I got to do before I can possibly hope to get in bed. So it'll be like 5 in.the morning for me before I can turn in. But I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I can't lay in bed. You missed my point about defeatism, Greg. Many are feeling defeated. Doesn't mean we don't struggle on. Well, never give up, guys. As long as you got breath in your lungs, never give up. Never, ever surrender. I did a briefing to the local prepper organization, which is set up to help people form MAG groups here locally. I mean, that's their whole purpose. And that's what I said at the end of my briefing, basically. I will recast that because there's stuff I said in there I can't put on YouTube. I mean, if you see me talk locally, you're going to hear me a little different than you hear on here. There's a lot of stuff you can't say on here, but it just disrupts the sensibilities of some people. So I will have to recast that presentation a little bit. I was up all night Friday night putting that together. So I'll recast that, maybe do a video with it. Prayers for your friend. There you go. Thank you, Rodney. So yeah, got a couple of friends that are suffering, Dennis and Kayla Nelson. So if you want to keep chatting, join us on Discord. There you go. Yeah, Discord will be the after hours chat area for those of you who want to keep going. I've got to come up with some kind of thumbnail for this and do all the stuff you do after you post a video. Hopefully, maybe I'll lucky out and not said too much and to get it demonetized, but they've been demonetizing all my live videos practically. Just about everything I put out. It's just horrible. I'm crocheting a blanket for my great nephew, almost halfway done. All right, that's great. Finally figure out the notifications on Discord. Okay, yeah. All right, we got to figure out somebody getting Discord working on that. And I'm going to do some more research on Buy Me a Coffee. You know, I've got an account, but I hadn't figured out how to make it work yet. So I just got to spend a little time on it. So that might be another way to get notifications out, just to Buy Me a Coffee. On Discord, you can use whatever language you like. Well, I'm not going to get this. It's not the color of the language. It's topic. It's topic. Anyway, disruptive sensibilities. Good words, yeah. Trying to choose my words. It's very, very difficult. Being on YouTube is like walking on ice, thin ice, in an earthquake wearing cleats. When you got artillery rounds hitting the lake. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Legendary Bunny Man, prayers for the Gabby. Salute to you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Much appreciated. Thank you, Gabby. Oh yeah, shout out to Michelle. She actually sent me a super chat earlier on. She went to my donate page on greengregs.com. If you go to the buy worms and you go in there, there's a donate button underneath all the worms. But I'm gonna delist the worm cells. I got too much going on to really keep processing worms right now. I'm going to plant some flax seeds bought from Amazon. Okay. Yeah, flax is good to grow. Amen. Tracy Broken Wing. Well, salute to you. Thank you, Tracy. Much appreciated. All right. Wow. Appreciate that, guys. YT likes the words lawful and just authority, but it does not know what they mean. True. Well, nobody said the algorithms are really smart. And remember, AI, the A and the AI is for artificial. And it's usually programmed by numbskulls. All right. Yeah, I appreciate that, Tracy. Thank you very much. Michelle, too. She gave me a super chat through my website. So, all right, folks, it's time to call it a night. I really appreciate all y'all. Y'all are great. And we have good conversations here in the chat room. I think we can do more on Discord. I think we can have like discussion videos where everybody can come in and talk. There's a chat rooms where everybody can go in and talk. We'll have to come up with some Robert's rules or something so everybody's not talking over each other, or I don't know. I might could, if I could spend a little bit more money on Zoom, I might could do that through Zoom too. I could have so many people. I do have the professional Zoom, but it's still, you're limited on how many people you can get in. Yeah, just overhyped tape recorder. Yeah, more or less. They have to train it like crazy, and it's only as good as their training. Yeah, it's not sentient, people. It may sound like it, and the fact that some programmers fell for that is just hilarious. Like that guy who worked for Google went around, it's sentient, it's alive. What a numbskull. I've done video where I've really explained the very core of computers down to the arithmetic logic unit and what the junctions are made out of, and just why there's no sentience there. None. Not a. It's going to be a long time before computers have that kind of power some people are fearing. So, well, thank you, Terry. So, did you just get here? Oh, yeah, we got some people just joining. We got 117 in the room right now. Heart Farm Genetics. Good night to you. All righty, folks. I just want to say thank you, super chatters. Thank you very much. Thank you, mods. The mods keep the channel clean. We don't use adult language here. And, we have to keep the bots out. Y'all have been great there. The bots don't even try us anymore. They used to. They used to come in droves. You guys were like at a skeet range. Y'all were taking them out fast. And they haven't bothered us in a long time. You guys did such a good job of that. So, yeah. All right. There's a lot of additional subroutines. Oh, yeah, they got that's a lot of subroutines. All righty, folks. Once again, just thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Just remember to share the videos out through your social media. You can click the share button on the videos themselves. Share this stuff widely. It will really help. I hope to rewatch this video. Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Karen. And, there's the news comes. Well, new days. Another alimony payment. Oh, my God. So thank you. Alimony payment. From previous lives. Oh, my goodness. Yikes. I'm in trouble now. Larry, you don't know half the story. No, she's not a cheap girl. No way. Anyway, y'all funny. All righty. She ain't taking it, she's giving it. You got the equation backwards. She's helping me. So anyway, first flowers on my indoor tomatoes. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, she owns me. Yeah, maybe. So I'm afraid that she's buying me. Me bought and paid for her here. She may have the title to me now. Yikes. Anyway, all righty, folks. Once again, well, we have some fun here. Every nerdy kid from the 60s on has added their routines. Oh, yeah. And some of them are, yeah, they used to write AI stuff in Lisp, and Lisp is a weird language. And the programs written in Lisp is all kind of nested core stuff that nobody even knows what's in a lot of these modules. Anyway, Lisp is a crazy language. Anyway, thank you again. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Larry's jaded. Maybe he's wishing he was getting some alimony payments. Anyway, once again, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to say, everyone have a good night or a good day, which is already time for getting up. Your ex getting the 20 for alimony check. No, she sent it this way. It's backwards. You get it backwards. I'm getting it. She's paying me for alimony. Anyway, isn't that funny? Anyway. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Jan sends me checks in the mail every month. Salute to Jan. So, folks, I really appreciate you. Appreciate you all. You're great. You're wonderful. Thank you all for being here. And once again, either good night or good day, depending on where you're at and which way you're heading, to work or to bed. I got to get a nap and get at it. All right, she's going to be on Discord, folks. And it's going to take me a little bit to process something. I got to hit the hay. But there will be, folks, will continue on Discord. So have a great night, everyone. Great day, whatever it is in your department.